What if you lost everything in a second? And what if the person you love most in the world just stopped speaking, stopped existing on the inside? This is the story of a desperate father, a little girl lost in her own silence, and a woman who emerged like a ghost from the past to save them both. A story about love, healing, and second chances that will stir every fiber of your heart. Before we start, tell me, where are you watching this from? Leave your city in the comments. And if you love stories that touch the soul, subscribe to the channel and leave that like to help more people find this narrative. Now, prepare for an emotional roller coaster. Here we go. The Anderson mansion had 23 rooms, 6 bathrooms, a heated pool, and a silence that hurt more than any scream. Matt Anderson stopped at his daughter's bedroom door, his fingers trembling as he held the doorknob. 38 years old, owner of one of the largest luxury hotel chains in the country, capable of negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts without blinking, yet unable to open that door without feeling his chest break in two. On the other side, he knew exactly what he would find. Sophia, his 5-year-old little princess, would be sitting in the darkest corner of the room, knees to her chest, arms wrapped around a faded teddy bear, not crying, not screaming, not doing anything at all, just existing, like a ghost of herself. 3 years, 1,095 days since Sophia said her last word. Mommy, tearful, frightened, as the paramedics tried to pry open the back door of the crumpled car. Matt pushed the door open slowly. The room was steeped in shadow, the pink curtains drawn, blocking the afternoon sun. The smiling teddy bear wallpaper now seemed like a cruel joke. All that vibrant pink, that cheerful yellow, those happy animals were a grotesque contrast to the little girl huddled in the corner. Sophia, honey, Matt's voice came out hoarse. He crouched down, trying to meet her eyes. Daddy brought you your favorite snack. Chocolate chip cookies, remember? Nothing, not a movement. Sophia's brown eyes remained fixed on the bear, her small fingers gripping the plush toy so tightly, her knuckles turned white. Matt felt the familiar nausea rise in his throat. 3 years, 7 psychologists, dozens of different therapies, medications that left her drowsy but cured nothing, and his daughter was still trapped in an invisible prison, built the moment she saw her mother's bloody face in the rearview mirror. He closed his eyes, trying to push the memories away, but they came anyway, as they always did. The call from the police, the race to the hospital, the cold, white hallway. The doctor with that expression Matt had learned to recognize on people's faces over the last 3 years, pity mixed with discomfort. Mr. Anderson, I'm so very sorry. Marina, his wife, Sophia's mother, dead at 32 because he had asked her to go pick up some documents from the office. That rainy night, at that cursed intersection where a drunk driver... Mr. Anderson? Matt blinked, returning to reality. Mrs. Carmen, the housekeeper who had worked for him for 15 years, was at the bedroom door. Her 60 years looked like 80 right then. Her shoulders slumped, her face etched with worry. I need to speak with you. Her voice trembled. It's important. Matt cast one last look at Sophia, lightly kissed the crown of her head. She didn't even flinch, and followed Carmen into the hall. What is it? He asked, but something in the way Carmen was wringing her hands already told him it wasn't good news. I can't take it anymore, Mr. Anderson. The words came out in a desperate whisper. This house, this sadness, that beautiful child wasting away in the dark. I haven't slept well in months. I have nightmares. My doctor says it's stress that I need to... You're giving your notice. Matt finished, his voice flat. Carmen nodded, tears running down her wrinkled cheeks. I'm so sorry, truly. You've always been a good boss, but I can't. This house feels like a mausoleum. Matt finished the sentence for her, because that's exactly what it was. A luxurious tomb where he and Sophia wandered like ghosts. I've already notified the employment agency. Carmen wiped her tears. They're going to send over some resumes. You need to hire someone quickly. You can't be alone with Sophia and run the businesses. Matt knew she was right. In the last few months, he had delegated more and more responsibility to his hotel managers. He missed important meetings, cancelled business trips. His company, which he had built from scratch over the last 15 years, was beginning to suffer. But how could he care about hotels and profits when his daughter was dying on the inside? It's all right, Carmen, he said, though nothing was all right. When do you plan to leave? Next week, sir. I'm so sorry. Matt nodded, dismissing her. When he was alone in the hallway, he pressed his forehead against the cold wall. The 3-story mansion suddenly felt smaller, the walls closing in on him. His phone vibrated. Another work call he had no energy to answer. Another crisis that needed solving. Another thing he had to do when all he wanted was to hold Sophia and make her go back to being the chatty, cheerful girl she was before the accident. "Marina," he whispered into the void, "tell me what to do. Please, help me save our daughter." But Marina had been dead for 3 years, and the dead don't answer. That night, Matt sat in his office, dozens of resumes scattered across the mahogany desk. Maids, nannies, housekeepers, smiling faces in professional photos. Letters of recommendation, references. He picked one at random. Isabella Santos, 28 years old, experience in domestic cleaning, basic childcare, immediate availability. For some reason he couldn't explain. Something about that simple, unadorned resume caught his eye. Maybe it was desperation, maybe exhaustion, or maybe it was fate, setting the stage for the twist that would change everything. Matt picked up the phone and dialed the agency's number. "I want to interview Isabella Santos," he said. "Tomorrow, if possible." On the other end of the line, the receptionist confirmed the time. Matt hung up and looked out the window. The full moon illuminated the garden where Sophia used to play before the accident. The swing set sat motionless, abandoned, collecting dust and loneliness. Would one more employee make any difference? Could anyone reach Sophia where everyone else had failed? He had no hope left. But maybe, just maybe, miracles existed in unexpected places. Isabella Santos arrived 15 minutes early. She had gotten off the bus 3 blocks before the Anderson mansion because she didn't have money for another fare if she missed the stop. The worn soles of her only pair of sensible shoes tapped a rhythm on the pavement as she walked, trying to ignore the blisters already forming on her feet. When the black iron gate of the mansion loomed before her, Bella stopped for a moment, her eyes wide. "Oh my God," she whispered. The 3-story building looked like something out of a magazine. Perfectly manicured lawns, a stone fountain in the center of the circular drive, enormous windows reflecting the blue morning sky. Bella looked down at her simple black skirt, her white blouse with a tiny mend at the elbow she hoped no one would notice. "You can do this, Bella," she told herself, taking a deep breath. "You need this job." The image of her Nana Rose, frail and pale in the hospital bed, flashed through her mind. The bills piling up, the overdue rent, the empty fridge. Bella pressed the intercom button. "Good morning, I'm here for the interview. Isabella Santos." The gate buzzed open. She walked up the drive, her eyes trying not to stare at all the things that were so completely different from the world she lived in. A world of crowded buses, a 1-bedroom apartment shared with her grandmother, lentils and bread when they were lucky. An older woman opened the door. Her face was tired, marked by a deep sadness that Bella recognized immediately. It was the same sadness she'd seen in the mirror ever since she'd lost her parents. "Are you Isabella?" the woman asked. "Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Carmen." "Come in, Mr. Anderson is on the phone, but he should be finished any minute." Bella was led into a living room that was larger than her entire apartment. Leather armchairs, a crystal chandelier, paintings on the walls that probably cost more than she'd make in a whole year. "Don't sit on the sofa," Carmen advised, not rudely but practically. "He likes the cushions arranged a specific way." Bella nodded, remaining standing, her hands clasped in front of her. "Can I give you a piece of advice?" Carmen stepped closer, lowering her voice. "This isn't a normal house. There's a sadness in here you'll feel on the first day. The little girl, Sophia, she doesn't speak. Hasn't for 3 years." Bella frowned. "Is she mute?" "No, she just stopped talking after her mother died." Carmen sighed. "It's a hard house to work in. I'm leaving because I can't take it anymore. But you seem like a strong girl. So, if you get the job, try. Try to reach that little girl because no one else has." Before Bella could respond, firm footsteps echoed in the hall. Matt Anderson entered the room like a contained hurricane. Tall, broad-shouldered, impeccable suit. But his eyes, God, those eyes. Bella had seen a lot of pain in her life, but she'd never seen so much of it concentrated in a single gaze. "Miss Santos?" he asked, barely looking at her as he checked something on his phone. "Yes, sir." "Isabella. Cleaning experience?" 5 years, sir. I worked in 2 family homes, an external cleaning company, and... Can you cook?" "Yes, sir. Nothing sophisticated, but the basics." "Do you have a problem with flexible hours? Sometimes I need someone to stay late." "No, sir. I live with my grandmother, but she understands that..." "Perfect. You're hired. $2,500 a month, plus a transit pass. Carmen will show you the routine." "You can start today." Bella blinked, stunned. I... I'm hired? Just like that? Don't you want to see my references, or... I need someone fast. Matt finally looked up at her. For a split second, something strange flickered across his face. A flash of confusion, but it was gone so fast, Bella thought she'd imagined it. Carmen leaves next week. I need you to learn the house systems before she's gone. Any problem with that? No. No, sir. No problem at all. I just... Thank you. Thank you so much. Matt gave a short nod and was already leaving the room as his phone rang again. He answered without looking back, his voice already shifting into business mode as he argued about occupancy rates and renovations. Carmen gave Bella a small, sad smile. Welcome to the Anderson mansion. Come on, I'll show you where things are. The first few hours were a whirlwind of information. Where the cleaning supplies were, how Mr. Anderson liked his coffee, which rooms needed daily attention. Sophia's room, but don't go in without announcing yourself, she startles easily, was on the second floor. Bella absorbed it all, taking mental notes. The work didn't seem hard. It was a big house, yes, but she was used to hard work. What bothered her was the silence, not a normal quiet, a heavy, thick silence, as if the house itself was in mourning. It was mid-afternoon when Bella was cleaning the second-floor hallway. Her hands were polishing the wooden banister when she heard it. A sob, choked, almost imperceptible, but it was there, coming from under the staircase that led to the third floor. Bella dropped her polishing cloth and crouched down. In the small space beneath the stairs, curled into an impossible ball, was the little girl, Sophia, 5 years old, too thin, her brown hair tangled and falling over her face. She was clutching a teddy bear so threadbare, its original color was a mystery. Her eyes were squeezed shut, silent tears running down her cheeks. Bella's heart broke. She knew that pain, that desire to disappear, to make yourself so small that no one could hurt you. She'd felt the same way when she watched her childhood home consumed by flames, taking her parents with it. Without thinking, Bella simply sat down on the floor, her back to the stairs, close enough for Sophia to know she wasn't alone, but far enough not to invade her space. And she started to hum. It was an old lullaby, one her Nana Rose used to sing to her when Bella was a child and had nightmares. The words came out softly, almost a whisper. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Bella didn't know why she was doing it. She didn't know this child. She hadn't been hired to be a nanny, but something inside her just knew. She knew Sophia needed someone who wouldn't try to make her talk, who wouldn't pressure her, who would just be there. The sobs quieted. Bella continued to sing, her soft voice filling the empty hall. After a few minutes, she sensed movement. She turned her head slightly and saw that Sophia had opened her eyes. Big brown eyes, wet with tears, were watching her with an expression that was part curiosity, part fear, part hope. Bella smiled. A small, gentle, closed-mouth smile. "Hi, princess," she whispered. "Your teddy bear is very cute. What's his name?" Silence, but Sophia didn't look away. "I had a bear just like that when I was little," Bella continued, her voice still low. "Mine was named Mr. Fluff. Silly name, right? But I loved him. I slept with him every single night." Sophia blinked. Her fingers tightened on the bear. "It's okay," Bella said softly. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Sometimes it's nice to just be quiet. I get it." It was then she heard footsteps behind her. Matt Anderson was standing in the hallway, a folder under his arm, completely frozen. His face was pale, his eyes fixed on the scene before him. Sophia, his Sophia, who spent days locked in her room interacting with no one, was sitting on the floor next to the new employee, not talking but present, aware, connected. Matt said nothing. He didn't move. He was afraid any sound, any gesture, would break the fragile moment. Bella turned and saw her boss. She quickly started to get up, thinking she'd done something wrong, but Matt raised a hand, telling her to stay where she was. The three of them remained like that for another minute. Matt in the hall, Bella on the floor, Sophia under the stairs. And for the first time in 1,095 days, something changed in that house. It wasn't much, it wasn't a miracle, but it was a start. When Sophia finally got up and walked back to her room, dragging the bear on the floor, Matt waited until she closed the door. Then he turned to Bella, who was standing, clearly nervous. "Sir, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have—" "Thank you." Matt cut her off. His voice was strange, raw. Thank you." Bella didn't know what he was thanking her for, but something in the way he was looking at her, with a mix of gratitude and something else she couldn't identify, made her heart beat faster. "You're welcome, sir," she replied softly. Matt nodded and continued toward his office. That night, alone, he picked up a framed photo of Marina, his wife smiling, her brown hair blowing in the wind, dimples marking her cheeks. And then he picked up his phone, where he had discreetly taken a photo of Bella when she wasn't looking, just for the employee file. He put the two images side by side, and he felt his blood run cold. It wasn't possible. It couldn't be. But there it was, undeniable, impossible to ignore. Isabella Santos was identical to Marina. Not similar, not alike, identical. The same long brown hair, the same almond-shaped eyes, the same height, the same dimples when she smiled, the same shape of her face. It was as if Marina had come back from the dead. Matt dropped the phone on the desk, his hands shaking. "What the hell is going on here?" he whispered to the empty room. But the room didn't answer. And upstairs, in the darkness of her room, Sophia Anderson was hugging her teddy bear and whispering the first word in 3 years. "Mommy." Bella's second day at the Anderson mansion began with a strange feeling in her stomach. She had woken up at 5 a.m., as she always did, made a weak coffee in the old pot at her apartment, and left a note for her Nana Rose, who was still asleep. The bus ride to the wealthy suburb had taken almost 2 hours, but Bella wasn't complaining. She had a job, a good job with a salary that could finally ease some of the debt, but there was something else, something she couldn't name. It was Sophia. She couldn't get the little girl out of her head. Those big, frightened eyes, that silence that screamed in pain. Bella wasn't a psychologist. She had no degree in childhood trauma, but she knew a broken soul when she saw one. She had been one herself, years ago. When she arrived at the mansion, the sun was just beginning to rise. Carmen was already in the kitchen preparing Mr. Anderson's breakfast. "You're early," the housekeeper commented with a tired half-smile. "I want to learn as much as I can before you leave," Bella replied, washing her hands in the sink. "What's first?" Carmen gave her a list of tasks. Clean the living room, organize the pantry, prepare Sophia's snack, chocolate chip cookies, fresh orange juice, not too much sugar. Bella immersed herself in the work, her movements efficient and quiet. The house slowly woke up. She heard Mr. Anderson come down the stairs, his firm footsteps echoing on the marble. She heard him on the phone, his voice tense, discussing something about a hotel acquisition in Chicago, but she didn't see Sophia. It was almost 10 a.m. when Bella finished organizing the pantry. Carmen was changing the linens in Mr. Anderson's room, so Bella decided to prepare Sophia's snack. The kitchen was enormous, all white marble and high-end stainless steel appliances that Bella barely knew how to use. But she knew the basics. She got the cookies from the jar, arranged them on a child's plate with butterfly designs, and squeezed fresh oranges. It was then she felt it, a presence. She turned slowly, and there she was, Sophia. The little girl was standing in the kitchen doorway, barefoot, wearing pink flannel pajamas with little stars. The teddy bear dangled from one hand. Her hair was messy, forming a brown halo around her pale little face. But what caught Bella's attention were her eyes. Sophia was looking at her with an intensity that wasn't normal for a 5-year-old. It wasn't common curiosity. It was recognition. It was searching. It was desperate hope. Bella's heart clenched. Slowly, very slowly, she crouched down, getting to Sophia's level. She smiled, that soft smile that came naturally to her around children. "Hi, Princess." Her voice was a whisper. "Want a chocolate chip cookie?" Sophia didn't answer, but she took a step into the kitchen, then another. Her eyes never left Bella's face. "They're really yummy," Bella continued, picking up a cookie and offering it. "Your favorite, I'm told." One more step. Sophia was now less than 3 feet away. Her little hand, the one not holding the bear, began to lift slowly. Bella remained perfectly still, holding the cookie, barely daring to breathe. Sophia's small fingers touched the cookie. Bella let it go, letting the girl take it. Sophia brought the cookie to her mouth, but her eyes were still fixed on Bella's face, studying, analyzing, trying to understand something her 5-year-old mind couldn't process. And then it happened. Sophia's mouth opened, not to bite the cookie, to speak. The sound that came out was so low, Bella almost didn't hear it. Almost, but she was close enough. She was paying enough attention. "Bella," Sophia whispered, her voice hoarse from 3 years of disuse. "Mommy?" The world stopped. Bella felt as if someone had thrown a bucket of ice water on her. Her whole body prickled. Mommy? Had she heard right? Why would Sophia call her Sophia? The voice came from the hallway, deep, tense, shocked. Bella turned her head and saw Matt Anderson standing in the kitchen doorway, his face as white as paper, his eyes so wide she could see the whites all around his brown irises. Matt tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. She spoke. My God, she spoke. Bella stood up quickly, instinctively taking a step back. Sir, I don't know what. I was just offering her a cookie and she. But Matt wasn't looking at her. He was looking at Sophia, his daughter. His little Sophia who hadn't uttered a word in 1,096 days. He took a step forward, trying to control the urgency of his movements so as not to scare the child. He knelt on the kitchen floor, forgetting the $3,000 suit that would probably get stained. Sophia, his voice trembled. Honey, can you say it again? Sophia turned her eyes to her father. For a moment, something passed over her face. Confusion, fear, and then she looked back at Bella. Mommy Bella, Sophia said, a little louder now. It was still a whisper, but it was unmistakably a voice. Is Bella staying? Matt felt tears sting his eyes. His daughter was speaking. After 3 years of absolute silence, of nights spent praying to whatever God was listening, of despair so deep he had considered putting his daughter in a specialized clinic. Sophia was speaking, but the words made no sense. Mommy Bella. Is Bella staying? Matt finally looked at Bella, really looked at her, and it was like being punched in the gut. There she was, in the morning light streaming through the kitchen window, brown hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders, almond-shaped eyes, the color of dark honey. Dimples, God, those dimples that appeared when she was nervous, even without smiling. The height, the bone structure of her face, the shape of her lips. It was Marina. It was Marina standing in his kitchen, alive, breathing, looking at him in confusion. But it wasn't Marina. Marina was dead. Marina was buried in Woodlawn Cemetery, under a white marble headstone with her name engraved in gold. This was Isabella Santos, a 28-year-old cleaner from a humble neighborhood on the other side of the city who took 2 buses to get to work. But she looked just like Marina. Mr. Anderson? Bella's voice brought him back. She was pale, her hands trembling slightly. Did I do something wrong? You... Matt tried to form a sentence. He ran a hand over his face, trying to organize the thoughts that were crashing in his mind like waves in a storm. You look like my wife. Bella blinked. I'm sorry? My late wife. Marina. Matt stood up, his knees cracking. He pulled his phone from his pocket with shaky hands. He searched through his photos until he found one of his favorites. Marina in the garden, smiling at the camera, baby Sophia in her arms. He showed the phone to Bella. Whatever she had been expecting to see, it wasn't that. The blood drained from her face. Her lips parted in silent shock. The woman in the photo was her, or it could be. The resemblance wasn't just striking. It was disturbing. It was unnatural. I didn't know, Bella whispered, her voice strangled. I swear I didn't know. When I came for the interview, you barely looked at me, I thought. I was distracted, Matt admitted, running a hand through his hair. I had just gotten off a stressful call. I just wanted to hire someone fast so Carmen could train them before she left. I didn't pay attention. Silence. A heavy silence, loaded with impossibilities and unanswered questions. It was Sophia who broke the moment. The little girl walked over to Bella and took her hand. Her small, warm hand wrapped around Bella's fingers. You're not leaving? Sophia asked, her big eyes lifted to Bella's face. Mommy left. Bella's not leaving, right? And there, in that innocent, devastating question from a traumatized child who had just found her voice again, Bella felt her heart break and mend all at the same time. She knelt again, face to face with Sophia. With all the care in the world, she took the child's other hand. I'm not leaving, Princess, Bella said, and in that moment she wasn't lying, she wasn't making empty promises. She was making an oath. I'm going to stay, I promise. Sophia, for the first time in 3 years, smiled. It was a small, hesitant smile, like a flower trying to bloom in arid soil. But it was a smile. Matt had to lean against the kitchen counter to keep from collapsing. Carmen appeared at the door, drawn by the sounds of voices. When she saw the scene, Sophia smiling, holding Bella's hand, Matt with tears in his eyes, she brought a hand to her mouth. Praise God, the housekeeper whispered. But Bella was still processing, still trying to understand what the hell was happening. She looked like the child's dead mother. How was that possible? What were the odds? Bella looked at Matt, not knowing what to say. "Sir, if you think it's for the best, I can look for another job. I don't want to cause problems. I don't want to confuse Sophia or—" "No!" The word burst out of Matt with an urgency that surprised him. "No, please don't leave." Bella looked at him, seeing the naked desperation in his eyes. "My daughter just spoke for the first time in 3 years," Matt continued, his voice choked. She smiled. "She's interacting, please." He closed his eyes, trying to maintain composure, but he was losing the battle. "Please, don't leave. I'll double your salary. Triple it if I have to. Just, please stay." Bella looked at Sophia. The little girl was still holding her hand, her brown eyes pleading. How could she leave now? "I'll stay," Bella said softly. "But, Mr. Anderson, I think we need to understand what's happening here. This isn't normal." "I know." Matt nodded, discreetly wiping his eyes. "I know. I'm going to call Dr. Reed, Sophia's psychologist. She needs to know about this." And just like that, on a random Tuesday morning, amid chocolate chip cookies and sunbeams in the kitchen, the lives of 3 people changed forever. Sophia had found her voice. Matt had found hope. And Bella had just walked into a labyrinth whose walls were built with impossible resemblances and unpredictable consequences. But none of them knew yet that the physical resemblance would be the least of their problems. Because when you open the door to healing, you never know what other doors will open with it, and some of them hold secrets that change everything. Dr. Evelyn Reed arrived at the Anderson mansion 2 hours after Matt's urgent call. She was a woman in her mid-40s with graying hair pulled back in an elegant bun, discreet framed glasses, and a posture that radiated professionalism. For the past 2 years, she had tried everything to reach Sophia: play therapy, art therapy, systematic desensitization. Nothing had worked. Now sitting in the mansion's living room, she looked from Matt to Bella and back to Matt, her expression flickering between clinical fascination and genuine concern. "Let me see if I understand this correctly," Dr. Reed said, her hands clasped in her lap. "Sophia has not only spoken for the first time in 3 years, but her first words were directed at Ms. Santos, calling her Mommy. Mommy Bella, to be exact," Matt corrected, sitting on the armchair, his hands clasped between his knees. "And she's spoken again. She asked if Bella was going to stay." She smiled. Dr. Reed turned to Bella, who was sitting on the sofa, visibly uncomfortable with the whole situation. "Ms. Santos, Mr. Anderson has shown me photos of his late wife. I assume you've seen the photos as well, correct?" "Yes, doctor," Bella replied, her voice low. "I had no idea. When I came for the interview, Mr. Anderson barely looked at me. It was all very fast. I needed the job and—" "I'm not blaming you," Dr. Reed interrupted gently. "I'm trying to understand the situation." She took off her glasses, cleaning the lenses with a cloth, a gesture Matt recognized as her way of buying time to think. "What we have here is a clinically fascinating and potentially dangerous situation." Matt felt his stomach drop. "Dangerous?" "Sophia has been in a state of severe selective mutism for 3 years. Her trauma was witnessing her mother's death. Her mind, to protect itself, simply shut down the ability to verbalize," Dr. Reed explained, putting her glasses back on. "Now suddenly she sees someone physically identical to Marina. For a traumatized child, this can create a fantasy, a substitution. Sophia may be believing on some level that her mother has returned. But she knows Bella isn't Marina," Matt argued, though his voice didn't sound very convinced. "She called her Bella. Mommy Bella," Dr. Reed corrected. "There's a confusion there, a merging of identities, and that can be extremely harmful in the long run. What happens when Sophia grows up and fully understands that Bella is not her mother? What happens if the relationship ends and Bella leaves her life? It would be like losing her mother all over again." Bella felt nauseous. She hadn't thought of that. She hadn't thought of anything beyond Sophia's smile and those pleading little eyes. "So are you saying I should fire her?" Matt asked, but the idea of firing Bella made every cell in his body scream in protest. "No," Dr. Reed said, surprising them both. "Not necessarily. What I'm saying is that we must be extremely careful. We need rules, boundaries, constant supervision." "I'll accept whatever it takes," Bella said quickly. "If there's a chance to help Sophia, I'll accept." Dr. Reed studied the young woman before her. She saw sincerity there. She saw kindness. But she also saw something else, something that worried her. "Why?" the doctor asked. "Why do you care so much? You barely know this child." Bella swallowed. How could she explain it? How to put into words that instant connection she'd felt when she saw Sophia huddled under the stairs? "I know what pain is," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I lost my parents when I was 15, a fire in our house. I survived because I was at a neighbor's. My parents didn't. For months I was quiet too. Not mute, but quiet. Inside, everything was screaming, but on the outside, nothing. Her hands were shaking. My Nana was the one who saved me. She didn't try to make me talk. She just stayed with me, sang to me, let me exist in my own way until I was ready. And when I looked at Sophia, I saw the girl I used to be. And if I can do for her what my grandmother did for me— Silence. A respectful silence this time. Dr. Reed nodded slowly. I understand. She turned to Matt. This is what I propose. Bella stays, but not as a simple housekeeper. She needs to become an official care figure for Sophia. Someone who is there intentionally, not accidentally. Like a nanny? Matt asked. More than that, like a therapeutic caregiver. She will work jointly with me. I will teach her basic techniques, communication strategies. Bella will spend quality time with Sophia, but always with the awareness that her role is not to replace Marina. It's to help Sophia process the loss. And what about the physical resemblance? Bella asked. Isn't that going to confuse Sophia more? It might. Or it might be exactly what she needs, Dr. Reed admitted. Sometimes healing comes from the most unlikely places. Sophia saw her mother's face in that accident. The last face. Injured, bloody, maybe seeing a familiar face, but alive, smiling, gentle. Maybe that rewrites the traumatic memory. I'm not saying it will work, but it's the first real opening Sophia has had in 3 years. It would be irresponsible not to try. Matt stood up, walking to the window. Outside, the garden was bathed in the golden light of dusk. Sophia's swing set, abandoned for so long, swayed slightly in the breeze. How much? He asked without turning. I'm sorry. Bella didn't understand. How much do I have to pay you to accept this? It's not the job you were hired for, it's more, much more, so how much? Bella looked at her hands. She thought of her Nana Rose, of the hospital bill due next week, of the overdue rent, the empty fridge. 4,000, she said softly. 4,000 a month would be enough. 7. Matt turned. 7,000. I'll need you here full time. You can sleep in the guest room. I'll cover all your medical expenses and your grandmother's. You'll have weekends off if you want, but I'd prefer you stay. Sophia will need consistency. Bella felt tears burn her eyes. $7,000. It was more money than she had ever earned in her life. Mr. Anderson, I can't accept that. It's too much. You can and you will. Matt came over, planting himself in front of her. His eyes, those brown eyes marked by 3 years of pain, locked on hers. You are not an employee, Bella. You are saving my daughter. There is no price for that. Accept it. Bella looked at Dr. Reed, who nodded encouragingly. I accept, she said, though her voice trembled. But, Mr. Anderson, I need you to understand one thing. I am not Marina. I never will be. I don't want to deceive Sophia. I don't want her to grow up thinking I'm something I'm not. I know, Matt said softly, and for the first time in 3 years, something like a real smile touched his lips. You're Bella, and maybe that's exactly what Sophia needs. That night, after Dr. Reed had left with a list of recommendations and Bella had gone up to put her things in the guest room, Matt allowed himself to enter Sophia's room. The little girl was lying in bed, the teddy bear clutched to her chest, but her eyes were open. She wasn't staring into space as she used to. She was looking at the door, as if waiting for someone, as if waiting for Bella. Hi, Princess, Matt said softly, sitting on the edge of the bed. Can I stay for a bit? Sophia nodded. A small movement, but it was a response. God, it was a response. Did you like Bella? Matt asked, stroking his daughter's hair. Sophia nodded again, and then to his shock she spoke. She smells nice. The voice was still a whisper, but Matt could hear her. She smells like before. Matt's heart clenched. Like before? When Mommy sang to me. Before the noise. The noise. Sophia had never verbalized the accident before. She always referred to it as the noise, the sound of metal crunching, of glass shattering. Bella is going to stay here with us, Matt said gently. She's going to take care of you, play with you. But Sophia, he took a deep breath. Bella isn't Mommy. You understand that, right, honey? Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Her fingers tightened on the bear. I know, she said finally. Mommy is in heaven. Grandma Cecilia said so. But Bella, she searched for the words, her 5-year-old mind trying to explain something even the adults couldn't grasp. Bella looks like Mommy, but she's Bella, and Bella isn't going to make noise. Matt didn't trust himself to speak. He just hugged his daughter, feeling the tears run silently down his face. Sophia was processing. She was understanding. In her own way, at her own pace, she was beginning to heal. 3 floors down, in the guest room that was now officially hers, Isabella Santos sat on the edge of the plush bed and looked around. The room was bigger than her entire apartment. It had a king-size bed, a noble wood wardrobe, a window overlooking the illuminated garden. She picked up her phone and called her grandmother. "Nana Rose?" Her voice came out choked. "Bella, my girl, how was the job?" "Nana, something happened. Something strange and wonderful and terrifying, all at the same time. And there, in that luxurious room so different from everything she knew, Bella told the only family she had left everything." When she hung up the phone 20 minutes later, Rose had said something that would resonate in her mind for a long time. "Sometimes God puts us in the most unlikely places for the most important reasons, my child. You were put there for a reason. Trust that." Bella lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. A reason. She was there for a reason, to help a traumatized child find her voice again. But there was something else, something she couldn't name. A connection that went beyond the physical resemblance, a feeling of belonging that made no sense. She closed her eyes, exhausted, but unable to sleep, because Isabella Santos had just signed an impossible agreement, and neither she, nor Matt, nor Dr. Reed herself had any idea just how far that agreement would take them. The first 3 weeks were a whirlwind of change. Sophia hadn't suddenly become chatty. It wasn't like a switch had been flipped, but the words were coming, slowly, like drops of water on dry earth. "Bella, play. Bella, you stay. I love you, Bella. Always, Bella. Never with anyone else." Carmen, who had postponed her departure for another 2 weeks to help Bella with the transition, hadn't gotten a single word. Matt received a look at most, a nod, but with Bella, Sophia blossomed. Bella, for her part, had thrown herself completely into her new role. Dr. Reed came twice a week for guidance sessions. She taught her nonverbal communication techniques, strategies to encourage speech without pressure, ways to validate the emotions of a traumatized child. And Bella learned. God, how she learned. Not because she was obligated, but because she genuinely cared. Sophia was no longer just a job. She had become something more, something Bella couldn't define yet. Matt watched it all from a respectful distance. He saw Bella in the garden with Sophia, teaching her to plant flowers. He saw them in the girls' room, Bella reading stories with funny voices that made Sophia laugh, a sound he hadn't heard in so long he'd almost forgotten what it was like. He saw Bella preparing Sophia's dinner, always patient, always present, always perfect. And every day that passed, Matt felt something change inside him. It wasn't just gratitude. It wasn't just relief at seeing his daughter improving. It was something deeper, more dangerous. It was admiration. Admiration for the way Bella gave of herself, for the way she laughed, for how her dimples appeared when Sophia said something funny, for how she treated his daughter with a love that seemed impossible in such a short time. But he kept his distance, because mixing romantic feelings into this already delicate situation would be disastrous. At least, that's what he told himself. It was a Tuesday, 4 weeks after Bella's arrival, when everything fell apart. Bella was in the garden with Sophia. The girl, more confident now, was running among the rose bushes, her laughter echoing in the afternoon air. Bella ran after her, pretending to be a monster, her arms outstretched, making funny noises. "I'm gonna get you," Bella shouted, laughing. "No, you won't, Mommy Bella," Sophia laughed, hiding behind a tree. It was at that exact moment that the front gate opened. A black Mercedes entered the property, parking in front of the main entrance with an abrupt stop. The driver's door opened, and a woman got out. Mrs. Cecilia Hayes was 65, with an upright posture, her grey hair perfectly coiffed, and an expression that was usually one of sophisticated disapproval. But in that moment, as her eyes fixed on Bella in the garden, her expression transformed into absolute horror. Cecilia's legs buckled. She leaned against the car, a hand flying to her heart. "Marina!" The name came out in a strangled whisper. "Marina?" Bella, hearing the voice, turned. She saw the older woman and instinctively knew who she was. Matt's mother-in-law, Marina's mother, Sophia's grandmother. "Good afternoon, Ma'am." Bella started to approach. "You must be—" "Ah!" Cecilia's scream tore through the air. The woman was pale, trembling, her eyes wide and fixed on Bella's face as if she were seeing a ghost. Her whole body began to sway. She tried to take a step, but her legs wouldn't respond. "Matt!" Cecilia screamed, her voice shrill with terror. "Matt!" Sophia, frightened by the screams, ran behind Bella, clinging to her leg. Matt came running out of the house, followed by Carmen. "Cecilia!" He ran to his mother-in-law, grabbing her by the shoulders. "What?" "Calm down, for God's sake." Cecilia pointed at Bella with a trembling finger. "It's Marina, it's my daughter. My daughter is alive. You lied to me. You said she was dead, but she's—" "It's not Marina," Matt said firmly. "Cecilia, breathe. It's not Marina." Cecilia looked at her son-in-law as if he'd lost his mind. "What do you mean it's not Marina? I'm looking right at her. It's identical." "It's Bella," Matt explained, his voice trying to stay calm even though he knew a bomb was about to go off. "Isabella Santos. She works here." "Works here," Cecilia repeated, her voice rising an octave. "Works here." It was then she saw Sophia, her little granddaughter, hiding behind the woman who was the spitting image of her deceased daughter, and the way Sophia clung to Bella, the way the child looked at her with trust. "Sophia," Cecilia called, her voice breaking. "Come to Grandma, honey." Sophia didn't move. She just buried her face in Bella's leg, and that was it. That was the last straw for what remained of Cecilia's composure. "What have you done?" She spun on Matt, and it was no longer fear in her eyes. It was fury. "What the hell have you done, Matt Anderson?" "Cecilia, let's go inside and—" "No, you'll explain it to me now. Have you hired a substitute for my daughter?" "It's not like that." "How is it not like that?" "Look at her." Cecilia pointed at Bella, who was pale, not knowing what to do. "She's identical to Marina, and you've brought her here with Sophia, making my granddaughter call her— The words died in her throat. "Mommy Bella," Sophia said quietly, and it was the first time in 3 years Cecilia had heard her granddaughter's voice. The world seemed to stop. Cecilia looked at Sophia, then at Bella, then at Matt, and she finally understood. "She's talking again," Cecilia whispered. "My God, she's talking again." "Yes," Matt said. "For 4 weeks, since Bella arrived." Cecilia covered her face with her hands. For a moment, Matt thought she was going to faint, but when she pulled her hands away, there were tears running, but also a cold rage in her eyes. "We're going inside," she said, her voice dangerously calm. Now, the living room transformed into a battlefield. Cecilia paced back and forth, her hands gesturing frantically as she spoke. Carmen had taken Sophia to her room. The girl was too frightened by the situation. Bella and Matt remained seated, though both wished they were anywhere else. "This is sick," Cecilia said, her voice sharp. "Completely sick. Matt, I've always respected you. I always thought you were a good husband to Marina. But this—" she pointed at Bella. "This crosses every line. Cecilia, if you'd just let me explain—" "Explain what?" "That you deliberately sought out a woman identical to my dead daughter. That you're using this poor girl to make Sophia forget her own mother." "It wasn't like that." Matt stood up, his own voice rising. "It was a coincidence. I didn't even see Bella properly in the interview. The agency sent her resume, and I hired her in a hurry. When Sophia saw her and reacted, for the first time in 3 years, she reacted to something. What was I supposed to do, fire her?" "Yes," Cecilia shouted. "Yes, because this isn't healthy. You're creating a fantasy for Sophia. You're making my granddaughter believe her mother has come back. Sophia knows I'm not her mother." Bella finally spoke, her voice low but firm. "She calls me Bella. She knows." Cecilia spun on her, and the look she gave her was pure venom. "You." The word came out like spit. "And what about you? How much is he paying you to play house with a rich man's daughter?" Bella felt as if she'd been slapped. "It's not like that." "No? Then how much is he paying you?" "Because I know he's paying. Men like Matt always pay." "Enough!" Matt stepped between them. "Don't talk to her like that. Bella has done nothing wrong. She's helping Sophia. For the first time in 3 years, my daughter is getting better." "Getting better?" Cecilia let out a humorless laugh. "She's being deceived. And when she grows up, when she's a teenager and understands what you've done, when she understands that you manipulated her, that you used a stranger's physical resemblance to... She took a deep breath, trying to control herself. "You're going to destroy that child, Matt. You're going to destroy my granddaughter." "I'm trying to save her," Matt yelled back. "Do you have any idea what hell these last 3 years have been? Do you have any idea how many nights I've stayed awake praying for Sophia to come back? And when a miracle finally happens, you want me to throw it away?" "Miracle?" Cecilia shook her head. "This isn't a miracle. It's manipulation. With all due respect, ma'am. Bella tried again. Don't call me ma'am, I don't want your respect. Cecilia cut her off. I want you out of this house. Now. She's not going anywhere, Matt said. Then I'm going. Cecilia grabbed her purse. And I'm going straight to my lawyer. I'm going to file for custody. I will get Sophia out of this sick environment before you do any more damage. You can't do that. I can and I will. Cecilia headed for the door. You have 1 week, Matt. 1 week to fire that woman. If you don't, I'll see you in court. And with that she left, slamming the door hard enough to make the pictures on the walls rattle. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence fell over the room. Bella had her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. Matt walked over, not knowing what to do, how to comfort her. Bella, She's right, Bella said, her voice muffled by her hands. She's right. I shouldn't be here. This is wrong. Completely wrong. It's not wrong. Sophia is getting better. For the wrong reasons. Bella lifted her face and Matt saw she was crying. Matt, look at me. I'm a copy of the woman you loved. Sophia isn't getting better because I'm good with her. She's getting better because I look like her mother. It's sick, just like your mother-in-law said. No. Matt knelt in front of her, taking her hands. It's not. Yes, the resemblance was the trigger, but it's not just that. You're patient. You're gentle. You're genuine. Sophia isn't reacting to a face. She's reacting to you. You don't know that. I do, Matt insisted. Cecilia is wrong. She's angry. She's in shock. But she's wrong. Bella pulled her hands away. Maybe I should go before this gets worse. And abandon Sophia, Matt asked quietly. You said you wouldn't leave. You promised her. The words hit Bella like arrows, because he was right. She had promised, and Sophia had believed her. I don't know what to do, Bella whispered. Stay, Matt said. Please, we'll figure this out. Together. Bella looked into his eyes, and she saw something there that made her hesitate. It wasn't just desperation. It was something else. Something that made her heart speed up in a way it shouldn't. Okay, she said finally. I'll stay. For Sophia. For Sophia, Matt repeated, though they both knew it wasn't just for Sophia anymore. Upstairs, hidden in the stairwell, Sophia had heard everything. She hadn't understood all the words, but she had understood enough. Grandma Cecilia wanted Bella to leave, and Sophia, for the first time in 3 years, felt the fear of returning to the silence. The days following Cecilia's explosion were tense. Matt had hired the best family lawyer in New York, a man named Mr. Ethan Ross, 50 years of experience, who assured him that Cecilia's threat was more emotional than legal. You are the father. You have full legal custody. She can try, but without proof of negligence or abuse, she won't get anywhere. But Matt didn't feel relieved, because the question wasn't legal. It was moral. Was Cecilia right on some level? Was he using Bella? Was he manipulating Sophia? Those questions tormented him at 3 in the morning when he couldn't sleep. Bella, for her part, had immersed herself even more deeply in her role. If she was here, if Sophia needed her, then she would give it her all. But there was a difference now, a caution. She measured every word, every action, hyper-aware that she was being watched, judged. And Sophia? Sophia continued to improve. It was gradual, like watching a flower open in slow motion, but it was undeniable. She spoke more every day, not just single words, but full sentences. Bella, can I have more juice? Bella, read this story again? And the most incredible part, she had started talking to other people. Carmen got a shy hello on her last day of work. Dr. Reed, on her weekly visit, received complete sentences. And Matt got to have a real conversation with his daughter for the first time in 3 years. Daddy, Sophia said one night at bedtime. Matt, who was placing her teddy bear on the bed, almost dropped the toy. Yes, princess? Do you like Bella? The question was so innocent, so direct, that Matt didn't know how to answer. Of course I do. Bella is very nice. No. Sophia shook her head. Do you like her, like you liked Mommy? Ah, so that was it. Matt sat on the bed searching for the right words. Sophia, I loved Mommy very much. I know, but she went to heaven. That's right. And Daddy got sad. Very sad. Matt felt a lump form in his throat. But now Daddy smiles again. When Bella is close. Did he smile? Matt hadn't even realized. But Sophia, with that terrifying perception that children have, had noticed. Bella makes me happy because she makes you happy, Matt said. And it wasn't a lie. Seeing you talk, laugh, play, that makes me very happy. Sophia seemed to consider this. Then, Bella isn't Mommy. No, she's not. But she's Bella. And Bella is good. Yes, Bella is very good. Then it's okay for Daddy to like her, Sophia decided, with the simple logic of a child, because Bella takes care of me and Daddy. And with that, she snuggled under the covers, bare against her chest, and closed her eyes. Matt stayed there for a long moment, just watching his daughter sleep. His heart was filled with a whirlwind of emotions he didn't know how to process. Sophia was right. He did smile more when Bella was around, and that scared him. Because how do you separate gratitude from something more? How do you know if what you're feeling is real or just a confusion of relief, hope, and the impossible-to-ignore physical resemblance? He went downstairs, needing air. It was almost midnight. The house was quiet, submerged in darkness except for the emergency lights in the hallways. That's when he heard the sound, coming from the kitchen. A choked sound, crying. Matt followed the sound and found Bella sitting on the floor, her back against the lower cabinets, her knees pulled to her chest. She was crying softly, trying to be quiet, but the sobs escaped anyway. "Bella?" Matt entered the kitchen, turning on only the dim light above the stove. "What happened?" She lifted her face quickly, wiping the tears with the back of her hands. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake anyone." "You didn't. I was coming down for water." A lie. He was too restless to sleep. "What happened?" Bella took a deep breath, trying to control herself. "Nothing. It's silly, I got a call from the hospital. My Nana had a small crisis. Nothing serious. She's stable now, but More tears. "I couldn't be there. I was here and she was alone and—" "Do you want to go?" Matt asked immediately. "Take my car, go now." "No." Bella shook her head. "It's almost midnight, visiting hours are over, and tomorrow Sophia has her session with Dr. Reed. I have to be here. Sophia will understand." "No." Bella was firm. "I made a promise. I'm here for Sophia. My Nana is fine. The doctors said it was just a scare. I'll call first thing in the morning and—" "Bella." Matt sat on the floor next to her. "You're not a machine. You're allowed to worry about your family." "I know, but—" She wiped her face again. "Sometimes I feel so torn. I want to be here. I want to help Sophia, but I also want to be with my Nana. She raised me alone after my parents died. She sacrificed so much for me, and now that she needs me, I'm in a mansion on the other side of the city, taking care of someone else's daughter." The guilt in her voice was palpable. Matt didn't know what to say. There were no adequate words for that, so he did the only thing he could. He stayed there, in silence, just present. After a few minutes, Bella spoke again, calmer. "Your mother-in-law is right, you know." "About what?" "That all of this is strange, artificial." She looked at Matt. "Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you only feel this way because I look like Marina? That maybe, if I were anyone else, you wouldn't have hired me? Sophia wouldn't have reacted." Matt was quiet for a moment, because he had asked himself that question many times. At first, yes, he admitted. The resemblance was the trigger. "I'm not going to lie, but, Bella," he turned to really look at her. "You are not Marina. You look like her, but you are completely different." "How am I different?" "Marina was—" Matt searched for the words. "Marina was wonderful. I loved her, but she came from a traditional family, wealthy. She was raised with nannies, private schools, expectations. Our marriage was good, but it was the kind of thing our families expected. It made sense. It was appropriate." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Marina was serious, controlled. Everything had to be perfect. The perfect house, the perfect dinner party, the perfect child. When Sophia was born, Marina was more worried about whether the nursery was decorated correctly than about enjoying those first few months. He smiled sadly. "I loved her, but it was a comfortable love, safe, predictable. And me?" Bella asked softly. "You?" Matt let out a low laugh. "You're the opposite of all that. You sit on the floor with Sophia and play with Play-Doh. You make funny voices. You burn the cake and laugh instead of getting frustrated. You sing in the shower." He looked at her intently. "You're spontaneous, real, genuine. You love Sophia, not because it's your job, but because you just love her. It's obvious in your every gesture." Bella felt new tears burn her eyes, but this time they were different. "So no," Matt concluded. "It's not just the resemblance. At first it was. But now I see you, Bella, not Marina, you." The silence that followed was charged with unsaid meanings. Bella opened her mouth to reply but didn't know what to say, because she felt it too. That connection that went beyond professional, that admiration that was turning into something else. But it was wrong. She was his employee. She was here for his traumatized daughter. Letting feelings develop would be, "I should go to bed," she said, getting up quickly. "I'm sorry for the drama, and thank you for your words." "Bella, wait!" But she was already leaving the kitchen, practically running back to her room. Matt stayed there, sitting on the cold kitchen floor, wondering when exactly everything had become so complicated. In the following days, there was a new tension between them. Nothing obvious, nothing Sophia noticed, but it was there. In glances that lasted half a second too long, in smiles that held extra meaning, in a physical proximity that made hearts race. Dr. Reed noticed. "You two," she said in one of her sessions when Sophia was playing in her room and she was talking to Matt and Bella in the living room. "I need to know. Is something happening here besides Sophia's care?" Bella blushed. Matt tensed. "No," they said at the same time. "Too fast to be true." Dr. Reed sighed. "Look, I'm not a prude. I'm not going to say feelings can't develop. You're adults, but you have to be extremely careful. Sophia is at a critical juncture. Any instability could make her regress." "Nothing is going to happen," Matt assured her. "We're focused on Sophia." "Excellent." Dr. Reed closed her folder. "Because you're going to need that unity. Marina's mother is not going to give up easily. Be prepared." And she was right. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Notification of a court hearing. Cecilia was officially filing for custody of Sophia. The war had only just begun. The court notice changed everything. Matt was tense, talking to lawyers daily, preparing documentation, gathering reports from Dr. Reed on Sophia's progress. The atmosphere in the mansion became heavy again, but for different reasons this time. It was no longer the suffocating silence of trauma. It was the tension of an approaching storm. Bella felt the weight on her shoulders. It was her fault. If it weren't for the resemblance to Marina, if Sophia hadn't reacted the way she did, none of this would be happening. The family would be, not happy, but stable, functional. It was in the midst of this chaos that Matt made a decision. "Dinner," he said one afternoon, walking into the kitchen where Bella was preparing Sophia's snack. Bella turned, confused. "I'm sorry? We're having dinner. You, me, and Sophia. Like a family." He corrected himself quickly. "Not family. Just the 3 people who live in this house. No formalities, no boss and employee, just dinner." Bella hesitated. "Matt, I don't know if that's a good idea. With everything that's going on—" "Exactly because of everything that's going on," Matt interrupted. "Sophia needs to see that we're okay, that we're a unit, and He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Bella had learned meant he was nervous. "I need to get to know you better, for real, because if we're going to face my mother-in-law in court, I need to know who the person fighting alongside me is." There was logic in that. But there was something else too. Bella could see it in his eyes, a genuine desire to connect. "Okay," she nodded. "But I'm cooking. No expensive restaurant food, real food." Matt smiled. It was a real smile, one that reached his eyes. Perfect. That night, the formal dining room of the Anderson mansion had a different kind of dinner. No fine china or silver cutlery. Bella used regular plates, put a checkered tablecloth on the table, and lit simple candles. She cooked lentil soup, roasted chicken, and a salad. Simple food, home food. Sophia came downstairs in her pajamas, her eyes wide when she saw the table. "Is it a party?" she asked. "It's a family dinner," Bella replied, lifting the girl into her arms and setting her in the chair. "Tonight we're celebrating." "What are we celebrating?" "You. That you're talking more every day. That you're smiling. That you're being the incredible girl you've always been." Sophia smiled, that smile that was still shy but increasingly frequent. Matt sat at the table and, for the first time in years, felt something like a home. Not the cold, silent mansion, but a home, with the smell of homemade food, with laughter, with life. During dinner, he asked the question he'd been wanting to ask for weeks. "Bella, tell me about you. Your life, your family. Who are you besides the person I see here?" Bella tensed. Talking about her past always hurt, but there was something in the way Matt asked, genuinely interested, not judging, that made her want to share. "I was born in the Bronx," she began, playing with her fork. "A working-class neighborhood, but my family was happy. My dad was a mechanic. My mom was a seamstress. We didn't have much, but we had love." Her voice became distant. "I was an only child. My parents spoiled me as much as they could. My dad made me wooden toys. My mom sewed clothes for my dolls." "You said you lost them," Matt said softly. "I was 15. Bella took a deep breath. It was a fire. Started in the middle of the night. Electrical problems in the next-door building, but it spread fast. I was sleeping at my best friend's house that night. We had been studying late for a school project. When I got the call, she closed her eyes. When I got there, the house was just ashes. The firefighters found my parents holding each other in their bedroom. They tried to get out, but the smoke... Sophia, realizing the sadness in Bella's voice, got up and hugged her arm. "Don't be sad, Bella," the girl said. "They're in heaven with my mommy now, taking care of each other." Bella's heart clenched. A 5-year-old girl comforting her. Life was strange. "That's right, princess." Bella smiled through her tears. "They're in heaven." "And your grandmother took care of you after that?" Matt asked. "Yes, Nana Rose. She was already older, almost 70 at the time, but she took me in without a second thought. I dropped out of high school to work. We needed money. I did everything. Cleaning, sales clerk, waitress. I managed to finish high school at night, but college..." She shrugged. "It was never an option." "You're so much stronger than you know," Matt said, and there was genuine admiration in his voice. "I'm not strong." Bella disagreed. "I just did what I had to do. Anyone would." "No, not anyone would." Matt leaned forward. "You could have become bitter. You could have blamed the world, but instead you took care of your grandmother. You worked hard. And when you came here, when you saw a traumatized little girl, you didn't run. You stayed. That's strength, Bella." Bella didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had seen strength where she only saw survival. "You love your grandmother." It wasn't a question. "More than anything. She's the only family I have left. And every day she gets more frail. Do you know what hurts?" Bella looked at Matt. "That with the salary you're paying me, I can finally give her the care she deserves. The expensive medicines, the private hospital. But the price for that is being far away from her." "Bring her here," Matt said without thinking. "What?" "Your grandmother. Bring her to live here. We have plenty of rooms. She can have the first-floor bedroom. It's easier, no stairs. We can hire a nurse if needed, and you can be close to her." Bella was floored. "Matt, I can't accept that. It's already too much." "It's not too much," Matt interrupted. "Bella, you saved my daughter. You saved me. If having your grandmother here makes you happy, if it lets you be at peace, then she is welcome. Please accept." Bella felt the tears run down her face, not of sadness this time, but of overwhelming gratitude. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much." Sophia clapped. "I'm going to have another Nana, like in the stories." Everyone laughed, the tension dissolving into something lighter. But as the night wore on, after Sophia had gone to bed and Bella was washing the dishes, refusing to leave them for the next morning, Matt came up beside her. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For opening up, for trusting me enough to share your story." Bella dried her hands on a towel, turning to face him. They were very close in the small kitchen, close enough for her to see the golden flecks in his brown eyes, close enough to feel the warmth from his body. "Matt," she started but didn't know how to finish the sentence. "I know," he said quietly. "I feel it too." The air between them was charged, full of possibilities, full of dangers. Bella took a step back, because if she didn't, she would do something she couldn't take back. "Good night, Matt," she said, her voice hoarse. "Good night, Bella." But as she went up the stairs, they both knew something had changed. It wasn't just about Sophia anymore. It was becoming about them. And that was as terrifying as it was exciting. Nana Rose Santos arrived at the Anderson mansion in a private ambulance that Matt had insisted on paying for. Bella waited anxiously at the entrance, wringing her hands, her heart racing. She hadn't seen her grandmother in person for almost 2 months. Visits to the hospital were hard to fit in with her routine of caring for Sophia. When the ambulance doors opened and 2 paramedics helped the elderly woman in a wheelchair get out, Bella felt tears spring to her eyes instantly. "Nana!" She ran, kneeling beside the chair and hugging her grandmother with all the care in the world. Rose was 83. Her hair was completely white, pulled back in a low bun, her skin marked by decades of life, her hands trembling from arthritis. But her eyes, those brown eyes, so much like Bella's, still sparkled with life. "My girl," Rose said, her voice weak but emotional. "Look at you, this place looks like a palace." "It's too big," Bella laughed through her tears. "But now it's going to be your home too." Matt approached, extending his hand respectfully. "Mrs. Rose, it's an honor to have you here. I'm Matt Anderson." Rose studied the man before her. She saw the expensive suit, the confident posture, but she also saw something else. She saw kindness in his eyes. She saw the way he looked at her granddaughter. "So you're the man who's taking care of my Bella," Rose said, and there was something in the way she said it that made Matt realize she saw much more than he wanted to admit. "Actually, she's the one taking care of my daughter, and doing a better job than any professional we tried," Matt replied. "Nana, come meet Sophia," Bella said, pushing the wheelchair into the house. Sophia was waiting in the foyer holding her teddy bear, obviously nervous. She had never met Bella's grandmother, and small children were sometimes frightened by people in wheelchairs, but when Rose saw her, her face lit up. "Well, what a beautiful little princess," Rose exclaimed. "Come here, dear. Let Nana Rose get a good look at you." Sophia looked at Bella, who nodded encouragingly. Slowly the girl approached. "Do you have your mommy's eyes?" Rose asked gently. "Bella told me about you. She told me you're very brave." "I am?" Sophia asked, surprised. "Of course you are, because when things get hard, you don't give up. You keep trying. That's being brave." Sophia thought about it, then smiled. "Are you going to live here?" "I'm going to live here, my love." "Then can we play?" "Of course. I don't run very well in this chair, but I can tell stories. Lots of stories." "Do you like stories?" Sophia's eyes lit up. "I love them." And just like that, a new dynamic formed in the Anderson mansion. They settled Rose in the first-floor room, quickly renovated with safety bars, an adjustable bed, and everything she might need. They hired a nurse named Martha for daily care, but Bella insisted on spending as much time as possible with her grandmother. In the following days, the mansion transformed. Rose had a surprising energy for someone in her condition. She would sit in the garden in the morning, soaking up the sun while Sophia played nearby. She told stories from Bella's childhood that made her granddaughter blush and Matt laugh. She taught Sophia how to braid her doll's hair. She sang old lullabies. And she watched. Oh, how she watched. Rose saw how Matt looked at Bella when he thought no one was noticing. She saw how Bella blushed when he entered the room. She saw the careful dance they both maintained, keeping an appropriate distance but with bodies that gravitated toward each other like magnets. One night, as Bella was helping her get ready for bed, Rose decided to speak. "You like him?" It wasn't a question. Bella almost dropped the glass of water she was filling. "Nana, I don't know what—" "Bella," Rose cut her off gently. "I raised you. I know your every expression, and I recognize that look. It's the same look your mother had when she met your father." Bella sat heavily in the chair by the bed. "It's complicated. Love usually is. It's not love. It's confusion, gratitude. I don't know." Bella ran her hands over her face. "Nana, I look like his dead wife. It's sick. And there's Sophia. If I let feelings develop and it goes wrong—" "And what if it goes right?" Rose asked. "How can it go right? I'm his employee. I'm here because of a weird resemblance to a dead woman." "You're here because you have a good heart," Rose corrected. "And he's falling in love with you not because you look like his late wife, but because you're you. I've seen how he looks at you, Bella. It's not the look of someone seeing a ghost, it's the look of someone seeing a future." Bella felt tears burn her eyes. "I'm scared. I know, my child, but fear has never stopped love from happening. It only stops us from living it." The words stayed with Bella, echoing in her mind in the days that followed, and things changed subtly. She no longer fled when Matt entered the room. She let their hands brush when they passed dishes at dinner. She laughed more freely at his jokes. She allowed herself to feel, Matt noticed, and he encouraged it. Small gestures, a flower from the garden left by her breakfast mug, a book he knew she wanted to read. Questions about her dreams, her fears, her hopes. They were slowly building something, but the outside world wasn't standing still. "She needs to go to school," Dr. Reed said in one of her weekly sessions. "Sophia is ready." Matt and Bella looked at each other, sharing the same apprehension. "Are you sure?" Matt asked. "What if she regresses? What if the other kids realize she's different?" "She is different," Dr. Reed said frankly. "And she always will be, in some ways. But keeping her isolated isn't doing her any favors. Sophia needs to socialize. She needs to just be a kid." And so, after many discussions and careful preparation, Sophia Anderson was enrolled in a small, welcoming private school 20 minutes from the mansion. The first day was difficult. It was Bella who took her with Matt's permission. Sophia gripped her hand with overwhelming force, her eyes huge with fear. "What if nobody likes me?" Sophia whispered as they parked in front of the school. "Impossible." Bella crouched down, fixing the girl's uniform. "You're smart and kind and beautiful. Any kid would be lucky to be your friend. But I didn't talk for a long time. I'm weird." "You're not weird, you're special," Bella corrected. And you know what? I bet there are other kids in there who are special in their own way too, and you'll find each other and be friends. Sophia didn't look convinced, but she nodded bravely. The teacher, Ms. Amanda, was a young, warm woman who had been briefed on Sophia's situation. She greeted the girl with a genuine smile. "Hi, Sophia. We're so glad you're here. We have a special desk waiting for you right near mine. Do you want me to show you?" Sophia looked at Bella one last time. Bella winked encouragingly. "Go on, princess. I'll be back to pick you up at the end of the day, I promise." And with a courage that surprised them both, Sophia let go of Bella's hand and followed the teacher into the classroom. Bella stood there for a moment, looking at the closed door, her heart aching. It was like leaving a part of herself in there. When she got home, Matt was waiting in the living room, clearly nervous. "Well, she went in," Bella reported. She was scared, but she went in. Matt let out a deep breath. 3 years ago, I never imagined the day would come when Sophia would go to school, and now she's there." Bella finished smiling. Being a normal kid, they looked at each other, sharing that moment of silent victory. The day dragged on. Bella cleaned the house, checked on Rose, prepared food, but her mind was at the school. How was Sophia doing? Was she talking? Were the kids being nice? When it was finally time to pick her up, Bella was in front of the school 15 minutes early, anxious. The doors opened and the children began to pour out. Bella searched among the small faces until she found Sophia. The girl was talking with another little girl with curly hair. Both were laughing about something. Sophia saw Bella and waved excitedly, saying goodbye to her friend before running over. "Bella! Bella!" Sophia jumped into Bella's arms. "I made a friend. Her name is Chloe and she has a pet turtle, and she said I can come to her house one day," and the words came out in an eager torrent. Bella felt tears of joy. "That's wonderful, Princess. Tell me all about it on the way home." And Sophia told her every detail, how she had drawn a rainbow, how she had played on the playground, how the teacher had praised her handwriting, how Chloe had shared her snack with her. At home, Matt could hardly believe it when Sophia recounted everything again, her words tripping over each other with excitement. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Matt found Bella in the garden. She was sitting on the swing set that Sophia now used daily, looking at the stars. "May I?" he asked, gesturing to the space beside her on the swing. "Of course." They swung gently, in a comfortable silence between them. "You did this," Matt said finally. "Did what?" "You gave me my daughter back. 3 years, Bella. For 3 years I lived in hell, thinking I had lost them both, Marina and Sophia. And then you showed up and—" He stopped, emotion choking his voice. "You gave me hope again." Bella turned to look at him. In the soft garden light she could see every detail of his face, the worry lines around his eyes, the way he clenched his jaw when trying to control his emotions, the naked vulnerability in his gaze. "Matt," she began but didn't know how to finish. "I know it's complicated," he continued. "I know there's the resemblance to Marina. I know you're my employee. I know Sophia is in the middle. But Bella," he turned completely toward her, "I need you to know. What I feel for you has nothing to do with Marina. It has to do with you, with who you are, with how you light up this house, with how you make my heart race when you walk into a room." The world seemed to stop. "You don't have to answer now," Matt said quickly. "You don't have to answer ever if you don't want to. I needed you to know." But Bella was already answering, not with words, with actions. She leaned in and kissed him. It was a soft, hesitant kiss, full of questions and fears, but it was also full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were trembling. "I feel it too," Bella whispered. "I'm terrified, but I feel it." Matt took her face in his hands with all the reverence in the world. "Then we'll figure it out together, slowly, our own way." "Our own way," she nodded. And there, in that garden under the stars, something new was born, not replacing what had been lost, but creating something completely unique. The following weeks were a delicate dance. Matt and Bella didn't tell anyone about the kiss. They didn't change anything externally. He was still the boss. She was still Sophia's caregiver, but there was something new vibrating in the air between them, an understanding, a connection, small, stolen moments, hands brushing as they passed in the hallway, secret smiles during dinner, whispered conversations late at night when everyone else was asleep. Sophia didn't seem to notice. She was too busy with her new life, school, friends, games. She was blossoming in ways Matt never imagined possible. Rose, on the other hand, noticed everything, and she approved silently, with a knowing smile on her face whenever she saw them together. It was a Friday night, 2 weeks after that kiss in the garden, that everything truly came to light. Sophia had fallen asleep early, exhausted after a particularly exciting day at school, where her class had taken a trip to the zoo. Rose was resting. The mansion was quiet. Bella was in the kitchen making chamomile tea when Matt came in. "Hi," he said, his voice low. "Hi," she replied, feeling her heart speed up as it always did now when he was near. "Can we talk?" Bella nodded, pouring 2 cups of tea. They sat at the small corner table, the one they used for informal meals. Matt took a deep breath. "These last few weeks have been different." "They have," Bella agreed, "and I can't stop thinking. About us, about what this means, about where it could go." "Me neither," Bella admitted. "I lie awake at night, thinking." "And?" Matt leaned in. "What do you think?" Bella wrapped her fingers around the warm mug. "I think it's scary. I think there are 1,000 reasons why this is a bad idea. I think your mother-in-law is right about a lot of things. But I also think—" She looked at him. "I've never felt this way before, and that has to mean something. How do you feel?" "Like I belong here," Bella said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Like Sophia is my daughter, even though I know she's not. Like this house is my home. Like you are mine." The last word came out loaded with vulnerability. Matt took her hand across the table. "I've fallen in love with you, Bella." There it was, said out loud. No ambiguity, no subterfuge. "I know it's complicated," he continued. "I know people will judge. They'll say it's too fast, that it's weird because of the resemblance to Marina, that you're taking advantage. But I don't care, because I know the truth. I know who you are. And I love you." Bella felt the tears run down her face. "Do you love Bella? Or do you love the woman who saved your daughter?" "I love you." Matt was firm. "The woman who laughs loudly when she burns dinner, who sings in the shower, who has infinite patience with Sophia, who takes care of her grandmother with so much love, who is strong even when she doesn't realize it, who has dimples when she smiles, who," he smiled, "who steals cookies from the pantry when she thinks no one is looking." Bella let out a choked laugh. "You knew." "I've always known, and I thought it was adorable." "Matt, I love you too." The words came out on a sigh of relief. "I'm so scared to admit it, so scared it's wrong, but it's true, I love you." Matt stood up, pulling her up with him, and he kissed her, not gently like in the garden, but with all the intensity of feelings suppressed for weeks. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. "So what do we do now?" Bella asked. "Now," Matt smiled. "Now we live, together. We face whatever comes. We face the judgments, but together." "And Sophia?" "Sophia is going to be happy," Matt said with certainty. "She adores you, she always has." "And your mother-in-law?" Matt's expression darkened. "Cecilia is another story, but we'll deal with that when the time comes." But it would come sooner than they imagined, because the next day, on a sunny Saturday, everything would fall apart again. The bomb exploded in the form of a newspaper article. "Businessman replaces dead wife with hired lookalike." Matt read the headline with growing horror. The article, published in a high society column of a well-known national paper, detailed everything. The resemblance between Bella and Marina. The fact that Sophia had started speaking again. Insinuations that Matt was manipulating his daughter. Stolen photos of Bella with Sophia in the park. "How did they get this?" Bella asked, pale, reading over his shoulder. "Cecilia." Matt spat the name. "Who else?" And he was right. His phone exploded with messages. Members of Marina's family, scandalized. Business partners worried about his mental health. Friends offering support that sounded more like judgment. And then came the visit. It wasn't just Cecilia this time. It was her, Marina's brother, Richard, a lawyer, and 2 other cousins. A small family army ready for war. Matt received them in the living room, with Bella at his side. He had insisted she stay. "They need to see you're not a victim, that we're in this together." "Matt," Richard began, his voice trying to sound reasonable. "We need to talk about Sophia." "There's nothing to talk about. Sophia is fine, better than ever." "She's living with an imposter," Cecilia chimed in, her tone venomous. "Did you see the article? The whole city is talking. Our family is being ridiculed." "Bella is not an imposter," Matt said coldly. "She's the woman I love." Shocked silence. "What?" Cecilia whispered. "How dare you?" "My daughter died 3 years ago." Matt stood up. "And I mourned her. I mourned her so much I thought I would die too. But Bella hasn't replaced Marina. She has helped me live again. She has helped Sophia live again. And yes, I love her. I apologize if that offends you, but I will not apologize for being happy again. At our granddaughter's expense, Richard accused. You've created a fantasy. You hired a woman identical to Marina and made Sophia believe. Sophia knows I'm not her mother. Bella finally spoke, her voice trembling but firm. She has always known. You! Cecilia pointed an accusing finger at her. You're an opportunist. You came from nothing, saw a rich, vulnerable man. Enough, Matt thundered. Get out of my house now. We're leaving, Richard said. But know this, we have officially started the custody process, and this time we have proof, reports from independent psychologists who have analyzed the situation and concluded it's harmful to Sophia. Statements from employees. Employees? Matt frowned. Carmen has agreed to testify, Cecilia said, and there was triumph in her voice. She saw it all, the beginning of this situation. Matt felt as if he'd been punched. Carmen, the woman who had worked for him for 15 years. We'll see you in court, Richard said, leaving with the rest of the family. When the door closed, Matt collapsed onto the sofa, his face in his hands. They're going to take Sophia from me, he said, his voice broken. No, they're not. Bella knelt in front of him. We won't let them. But even she didn't sound convinced. The following days were a nightmare. Lawyers, meetings, preparing documents. Mr. Ross, Matt's lawyer, was good, but even he admitted the situation was complicated. The physical resemblance works against you, he said frankly. It gives ammunition to the emotional manipulation argument, and the fact that you're in a relationship now, that doesn't help. So what do we do? Matt asked. Prove that Sophia is fine, better than fine. Bring reports, witnesses, proof that this situation is not harmful, and pray. But Bella was drowning in guilt. It's all my fault, she told Rose one night. If you weren't here, that little girl would still be silent, Rose interrupted, and Matt would still be dead inside. You brought life back to this house, Bella. Don't let anyone make you believe otherwise. But the words didn't ease the weight. 1 week before the court hearing, Bella made a decision. She went to find Matt in his office. I'm leaving, she said without preamble. Matt stood up so fast he almost knocked over his chair. What? It's for the best. For Sophia. For you. If I leave, they don't have a case. They can't claim manipulation if I'm not here. Are you crazy? If you leave, Sophia will regress. She'll go back to the silence. Or she'll realize she doesn't need me anymore, Bella said, though tears were already streaming down her face. She's strong now. She has friends, school, she'll be fine. And what about me? Matt asked, his voice breaking. Will I be fine? You're strong. I'm not, Matt shouted, and it was the first time Bella had seen him lose control. I'm not strong. I was broken, completely broken, and you put me back together. You and Sophia gave me a reason to live again. And now you're just going to take that away? Matt, no. He pulled her to him. I won't let you do it. I won't let you sacrifice yourself. We fight. Together, we promised. And what if we lose? Then we lose fighting. Matt held her face. But I'm not going to lose you by giving up first. Bella clung to him, sobbing. I'm so scared. Me too. But we have each other. And it was in that moment that a small voice came from the door. Bella? Daddy? They both turned. Sophia was standing there, in her pajamas, holding her bear. Is Bella leaving? The question came out small, scared. No, Matt and Bella said at the same time. Sophia ran and hugged Bella's legs. Don't go, you promised. You promised you wouldn't leave. Bella knelt, hugging the child. I did promise, didn't I? You promised. Then I'm not going to break my promise, princess. Sophia pulled back, looking into Bella's eyes with a seriousness that was stunning for a 6-year-old. Grandma Cecilia wants you to go. How do you know that? Matt asked, surprised. I heard you. When she came here, Sophia admitted. She said you were bad for me, Bella, but she's wrong. You're good. Sophia, I'm going to tell the judge, Sophia decided. I'm going to tell him that you helped me, that I love you, that you're not my mommy, but you're my Bella, and that's good too. Matt felt tears in his eyes. His daughter, his brave, incredible daughter. You don't have to do that, princess. Yes, I do, Sophia said with determination, because family protects family. And you're my family, Bella. You, Daddy, and Nana Rose, you're my family. And in that moment, Matt knew they were going to win, because they had something that no legal proceeding could quantify. They had love. The court hearing was set for a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Matt had barely slept in the last few nights. Mr. Ross had prepared a solid defense. Reports from Dr. Reed showing Sophia's exceptional progress, school records demonstrating her successful socialization, statements from teachers, even a letter from her pediatrician certifying the girl's physical and emotional health. But he knew Cecilia's side was armed too. They had their own team of psychologists who would argue that Sophia was living in a harmful fantasy. They had Carmen's statement about Bella's suspicious first days at the mansion. They had the newspaper article, the photos, the narrative that painted Matt as an emotionally unstable man using his traumatized daughter. The morning of the hearing, the tension in the mansion was palpable. Bella put on a simple but elegant suit that Matt had insisted on buying for her. Nothing too expensive or flashy, just appropriate. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. 4 months ago, she was a desperate cleaner taking 2 buses to work. Now she was about to testify in a courtroom about why she deserved to be part of this family. Rose, who would be staying home to watch Sophia during the hearing, took her granddaughter's hands. "Be yourself, my child. The truth always finds its way." "And what if the truth isn't enough?" "Then it wasn't the truth," Rose said enigmatically. "Go, fight." The Westchester County Courthouse was an imposing building. Matt, Bella, and Mr. Ross walked in together, pushing past reporters who had found out about the case. Camera flashes, shouted questions they ignored. Inside the courtroom, Marina's family was already present. Cecilia, Richard, 2 other cousins Matt barely knew, all formally dressed, their faces grim. The judge was a woman in her late 50s, with grey hair pulled back severely, reading glasses hanging from a chain. Judge Marcia Fernandez. Mr. Ross had said she was fair, but strict. The hearing began. Cecilia's lawyer, Mr. Arthur Mendez, presented his case first. He was eloquent, persuasive. He painted a picture of a grieving father who had made questionable decisions, a traumatized child being exposed to a confusing situation, an opportunistic employee who had inserted herself into a vulnerable family dynamic. He called his first witness, a psychologist who had never met Sophia, but had analyzed the situation from the outside. "In my professional opinion," the psychologist said, "exposing a child with selective mutism to someone physically identical to the lost maternal figure can create identity confusion and harmful emotional dependency. The child may not be able to process grief properly." Mr. Ross hit back in the cross-examination, but the damage was done. Then they called Carmen. The former housekeeper looked uncomfortable, but she testified. Yes, the resemblance was disturbing. Yes, Sophia had called Bella Mommy Bella in the first few days. Yes, it seemed strange. But then Mr. Ross asked his question. "Mrs. Carmen, in your 15 years working for the Andersons, did you ever see Sophia as happy as she is now?" Carmen hesitated. Then, "No." "Did you see any sign of abuse, negligence, or manipulation?" "No." "Why did you give your notice?" Carmen took a deep breath. "Because that house was too sad. The sadness was making me sick. But," she looked at Bella, "Bella brought light. I can't deny that. It was a small victory." Next was Matt's turn. He testified about the 3 years of hell, the failed treatment attempts, the desperation, and then about the change when Bella arrived. "Yes, the resemblance was the initial trigger," Matt admitted. "But it's not what keeps Sophia connected. It's the genuine love Bella feels for her. It's the patience, the dedication. Sophia is not confused. She knows exactly who Bella is, and she chooses to love her." "Mr. Anderson," Mr. Mendez attacked, "is it not true that you are in a romantic relationship with Ms. Santos?" "It is true. And don't you find it problematic to be romantically involved with someone you hired specifically to care for your traumatized daughter? Someone who looks just like your late wife?" Matt looked him straight in the eye. "I didn't hire Bella for the resemblance. I didn't even know about it at the time, and I didn't fall in love with her because of the resemblance. I fell in love with who she is, with the woman who saved my daughter." "And if that's problematic, then I'm guilty," murmurs in the courtroom. The judge banged her gavel. Then it was Bella's turn. She was shaking when she took the stand. She swore to tell the truth, and she told her story. All of it. The loss of her parents, the struggle to survive, the job she desperately needed, the first encounter with Sophia. "I didn't seek this out," she said, as tears ran. "I didn't know I looked like her mother. When I found out, I was terrified. I offered to leave several times, but Sophia," her voice failed, "Sophia needed me and I couldn't abandon her, so I stayed. Not for the money, not for Mr. Anderson, for Sophia, Because when I looked at her, I saw the girl I used to be, lost, scared, and if I could help— Miss Santos, Mr. Mendez interjected, isn't it convenient that having helped a vulnerable child, you are now in a position to marry a millionaire? I don't need his money, Bella replied, lifting her chin. I need him, Matt and Sophia, because they're my family now, the family I chose and who chose me. Mr. Ross called Dr. Reed. The psychologist was emphatic. Sophia is better than ever, not just speaking but thriving. She has friends. She's doing well in school. She is processing her grief in a healthy way. If you separate her from Bella now, it would be devastating. It would be like a second maternal loss. But Dr. Reed, Mr. Mendez questioned, isn't Sophia forming an unhealthy attachment? All attachment to care figures is important, Dr. Reed replied firmly. Bella is not pretending to be Marina. She is being herself, and Sophia understands that. The attachment is healthy, appropriate, and vital for the child's continued well-being. The hearing was drawing to a close. Closing arguments would be soon. But then something happened. The door to the courtroom opened, and Sophia walked in. Rose was right behind her in her wheelchair, pushed by the nurse, Martha. Everyone was stunned. Your Honor, excuse me, Rose said, her voice frail but firm. But my great-granddaughter asked to come. She said she needed to speak. Judge Fernandez frowned. This is not an appropriate hearing for a child. I know, ma'am, Sophia said, her voice clear in the silent room. But it's about me, so I need to talk. Everyone was paralyzed. Matt stood up. Sophia, you don't have to— Yes, I do, Daddy. Sophia interrupted him, and there was a determination in those brown eyes that he recognized. It was his, it was Marina's, and it was all her own. The judge considered it, then approached the bench. Sophia walked to the front, holding her teddy bear. She looked so small there, but also incredibly brave. What's your name? The judge asked gently. Sophia Marina Anderson. I'm 6 years old. And do you know why you're here? Yes, ma'am, because Grandma Cecilia wants me to live with her, and she wants Bella to go away. Cecilia shifted uncomfortably in her chair. And what do you want? The judge asked. Sophia turned, looking at everyone in the room. Then she began to speak, and her words silenced any doubt. When my mummy died, I stopped talking. I remember the accident. I remember the noise, the glass, the blood. Her voice was calm, matter-of-fact, but tears were running. I tried to call her, but she didn't wake up, and after that, I couldn't talk anymore, because every time I tried, I remembered that day. The room was in absolute silence. 7 doctors tried to help me. They were nice, but it didn't work. I stayed quiet. I stayed in the dark, and my daddy got sad. I saw him cry when he thought I was asleep. Matt covered his face with his hands. Then Bella came, and at first I thought she was my mommy, because she looks so much like her, but she's not. Bella is Bella. Sophia looked at Bella. Bella sings funny. Bella burns cakes and laughs. Bella plays on the floor with me. Mommy didn't do that. Mommy was beautiful and smelled good, and I loved her, but she was different. She turned back to the judge. Bella didn't make me forget Mommy. Bella helped me remember her without it hurting so much. Because when I look at her, I think, Mommy was that beautiful. But Bella is here. She's alive, and she takes care of me. Sophia, the judge asked softly, do you understand that Bella is not your mother? I understand. My mommy Marina is in heaven, and one day I'm going to see her again, but in the meantime I have Bella, and Daddy, and Nana Rose, and they love me. And your Grandma Cecilia? She loves you too. I know. But Grandma Cecilia wants me to be sad. She wants me to only remember Mommy, and it's important to remember, but it's also important to be happy again. Sophia looked at her grandmother. I'm sorry, Grandma. I love you, but I want to live with my daddy, and I want Bella to stay. Cecilia was crying openly now. If Bella leaves, Sophia continued, I'm going to be very sad, because I promised to take care of her too. She lost her parents. So now we're family. Families take care of each other. The judge cleared her throat, clearly emotional. Thank you, Sophia. That was very brave of you to come here. Sophia nodded and went back to Rose. The room erupted in murmurs. Mr. Mendez tried to argue that a 6-year-old couldn't make decisions like this. Mr. Ross countered that the child's voice must be heard. The judge banged her gavel. Silence, I will deliberate. Decision in 48 hours. But everyone in the room knew. Sophia had won. The 48 hours were the longest of Matt's life. He tried to work, but couldn't focus. He tried to play with Sophia, but his mind was at the courthouse. He tried to talk to Bella, but both were too tense, waiting, dreading. The morning of the decision, Everyone was back in the courtroom. Judge Fernandez entered, her expression neutral. She sat, arranged her papers, and finally spoke. "This has been one of the most unusual cases I have presided over in 30 years on the bench," she began. "There is no manual for a situation where a traumatized child finds a connection with someone due to an extraordinary physical coincidence. I have reviewed all reports, I have heard all testimonies, and most importantly, I have heard Sophia." She looked at Cecilia. "Mrs. Hayes, I understand your pain. I understand your desire to protect your granddaughter. But protection is not the same as possession. Sophia is not an object to be kept. She is a child who needs to flourish, and for the first time in 3 years, she is flourishing." Cecilia closed her eyes. The judge turned to Matt. "Mr. Anderson, your choices have been unconventional, but I find no evidence of intentional manipulation or negligence. On the contrary, I see a father who did the best he could under impossible circumstances." She looked at Bella. "Ms. Santos, your resemblance to the late Mrs. Anderson is undeniably unsettling, but physical resemblance does not define character. I have seen your background. I have seen how Sophia responds to you, and I have seen genuine love. I cannot punish love." The judge took a deep breath. "Therefore, my decision is as follows. Custody of Sophia remains with the father, Matt Anderson. There is not sufficient evidence of a harmful environment. However," she raised a finger, "I am ordering that Sophia continue therapy with Dr. Reed or an equivalent professional. I am ordering regular supervised visitation with the maternal grandmother, and I strongly recommend that all adults involved consider family therapy to navigate this delicate situation." Matt let out a breath so deep he felt like he hadn't breathed in days. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "I want to be clear. Sophia has a voice, and that voice matters. She stated with stunning clarity and courage what she needs, and my job is not to impose what the adults think is best. It is to protect the best interest of the child, and in this case the best interest is to remain in an environment where she is clearly thriving." She banged her gavel. "Case dismissed." The world seemed to explode. Mr. Ross shook Matt's hand vigorously. Bella covered her face, sobbing with relief. Sophia, who had watched it all with Rose, clapped her hands. On the other side of the room, Cecilia was motionless. Richard tried to comfort her, but she seemed lost. Matt, without thinking, walked over to his mother-in-law. "Cecilia!" She looked up, her eyes red from crying. "You won," she said bitterly. "This wasn't about winning," Matt replied softly. "It was about Sophia. You've taken her from me. First my daughter, now my granddaughter. I haven't taken her from you. I never will. You're her grandmother. That never changes. But Cecilia," he knelt beside her chair, "you have to let Sophia be happy. She deserves it." Cecilia looked over to where Sophia was, laughing with Bella, and something in her broke. It was as if she finally saw what everyone else saw. A happy child, alive, no longer trapped in trauma. "She looks so much like Marina," Cecilia whispered. "She has her eyes," Matt nodded, "and her smile, and she'll carry her in her heart forever. But she also has the right to move on." Cecilia nodded slowly. Can I visit her? For real? Not just supervised?" "Of course. Come whenever you want. You're welcome." Cecilia looked at Bella. For a long moment, she just looked. Then she stood up and walked toward her. Bella tensed, expecting another attack, but Cecilia just extended her hand. "Take care of her," was all she said. "Please, take care of my granddaughter." Bella took her hand. "I will. I promise." Cecilia nodded, wiped her tears, and left, with Richard following her. Outside the courthouse, the reporters were waiting. But Matt didn't care. He just scooped Sophia into his arms, took Bella's hand with his other, and faced the cameras. "My family is complete," he said simply, "and that's all that matters." The flashes exploded. Questions were shouted, but they ignored it all, getting into the car and going home. Home. Because that's what the Anderson mansion finally was. A home. 2 years later, the Saturday morning dawned bright and warm, perfect for a birthday party. Sophia Anderson was turning 8 today, and it wasn't just any party. It was the party. The mansion's garden was decorated with colorful balloons, a huge candy table, a bounce house, face painting, a hired magician. 23 children running everywhere, screaming, laughing, living. Sophia, in the middle of it all, wore a pink dress she had picked out herself, a princess tiara on her head, and a smile so wide it looked like her face would split. "Bella! Bella!" she yelled, running to Bella. Chloe says my cake is the prettiest she's ever seen. That's because I didn't burn it this time. Bella laughed, adjusting the crooked tiara on the girl's head. Go play, princess. Enjoy your day. Sophia ran back to her friends, her laughter echoing through the garden. Matt came up behind Bella, sliding an arm around her waist. She's happy. She's radiant. Bella nodded, leaning against him. Who would have thought, huh? 3 years ago. Let's not think about that today. Matt interrupted gently. Today is just about joy. And there was so much joy. Rose, now 85 but as sharp as ever, was sitting in her wheelchair under the shade of a tree, chatting animatedly with Cecilia. Yes, Cecilia. The relationship wasn't perfect. It probably never would be. But there was a mutual respect, regular visits, civil conversations. Cecilia had learned, slowly, to accept, not because she agreed with everything, but because she loved Sophia more than her pride. Grandma Cecilia! Sophia appeared, running. Come see the magician pull a rabbit out. Cecilia stood up, letting her granddaughter drag her away. She and Rose exchanged a look, still strange, still awkward at times, but it worked. In the afternoon, after most of the little friends had gone home and only the closest remained, it was time for the cake. Sophia blew out the 8 candles to applause. Her wish was secret, but her eyes sparkled with happiness. Afterward, when only the family was left, Matt, Bella, Rose, Cecilia, and surprisingly Richard, who had developed an unexpected respect for Matt throughout the legal processes, Sophia asked to speak. I want to thank all of you, she said, standing on a chair so everyone could see her. You are the most important people in the world to me. My mommy Marina gave me life. She was beautiful and smelled good and was nice. And I remember her every day. When I see flowers, I think of her because she loved flowers. When I hear classical music, I think of her because she played the piano. Cecilia was crying silently. But my mommy Bella taught me how to live again. She taught me it's okay to miss someone, but it's also okay to be happy. She taught me to talk, to play, to laugh. Bella wiped the tears from her face. So I have 2 moms, one in heaven and one here, and they both love me, and I love them both. And that's not confusion, it's luck. Sophia looked at Matt. And my daddy is the best daddy in the world, because he never gave up on me, not even when I was quiet, not even when it was hard. He stayed. She looked at Cecilia, and Grandma Cecilia too. Even when she was mad, it was because she loved me. I understand that now. And finally at Rose. And Nana Rose teaches me stories and makes me laugh and is the coolest Nana. Rose nodded, proud. So thank you for being my family, the best family. Applause, hugs, more tears. When night fell and everyone went home, Matt found Bella on the garden swing set, the same swing where he had confessed his love 2 years ago. Hi, he said, sitting next to her. Hi. They swung in a comfortable silence. I have something for you, Matt said finally. Matt, you've already given me so much. It's not a gift. It's a question. He knelt in front of her, and Bella felt her heart stop. From his pocket, he pulled a small velvet box. Isabella Santos. He opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring. You came into my life like an impossible coincidence, but you stayed by choice, yours and mine. You saved my daughter. You saved me. You brought light where there was darkness. You brought love where there was pain. Will you marry me? Bella couldn't speak. She just nodded as the tears ran. Matt slid the ring onto her finger, and he kissed her. A kiss that promised everything: future, family, love. Yes! A high-pitched scream came from the window. They both looked up. Sophia was leaning out her bedroom window, screaming with joy. She said yes! Nana Rose, she said yes. Matt and Bella laughed, waving at the girl. I guess it wasn't a secret, Bella said. Nothing is a secret with her. Matt agreed. 3 months later, the wedding took place. It wasn't extravagant. It was intimate, meaningful, in the mansion's own garden, under the trees where so many important moments had happened. Sophia was the maid of honor, in a dress she chose, obviously pink. She carried the rings with impressive seriousness. Rose cried through the entire ceremony. Cecilia did too, though she tried to hide it. The officiant spoke about love that heals, about family that is chosen, about second chances. When Matt and Bella exchanged vows, they weren't traditional. They were personal. I promise, Matt said, to love you not as a memory of the past, but as a promise of a future. I promise to see you, to truly see you, every single day. I promise, Bella replied, To love your daughter as if she were my own. To honor Marina's memory not by replacing her, but by adding, I promise to be myself, always. I now pronounce you husband and wife. The kiss was applauded by everyone. Sophia screamed the loudest. At the reception, Sophia took Bella aside. Can I call you Mom now? She asked shyly. Bella knelt. You can call me whatever you want, Princess. Bella, Mom, Mommy Bella. Whatever you're comfortable with. Mommy Bella, Sophia decided, because you're my mom. But you're also Bella, and that's special. It's very special. Bella agreed, hugging her. Before the honeymoon, just a weekend away because Sophia still needed them, Bella did one thing. She went to the cemetery, to Woodlawn. She stood in front of Marina Anderson's headstone. Hi, she said softly. I know this is weird, but I needed to come. I needed to... Thank you, I guess. You left behind a beautiful family, an incredible husband, a perfect daughter, and for some unexplainable reason the universe made me look just like you. And that brought me to them. She placed fresh flowers on the grave. I promise to take care of them. I promise Sophia will always remember you. I'll tell her stories about you. I'll keep your memory alive, not because I have to, but because you deserve it. And because she deserves to know the woman who brought her into the world. The wind blew gently, making the leaves on the trees whisper. Thank you, Bella whispered, for everything. And then she went back home, to her husband, to her daughter, to her family. Life wasn't perfect. Sophia still had hard moments, days when she grew quiet, processing. The therapy continued. It always would, probably. But there was love, so much love. Matt watched his family, Bella helping Sophia with her homework, Rose dozing on the sofa, the afternoon sun streaming through the windows, and felt an overwhelming gratitude. 3 years ago, he was dead inside. His daughter was dead inside. The house was a mausoleum. Now there was life, laughter, arguments over what movie to watch, burnt cakes, spontaneous hugs, everything that makes a house a home. That night after Sophia was in bed and they were lying together, Bella whispered, Do you think Marina would approve? Matt thought. He really thought. Yes, because she loved Sophia above all else. And you made her happy again. That's all Marina would ever want. I hope so. I know so. And as they slept, holding each other, Sophia woke up briefly. She looked out the window, seeing the stars. Good night, Mommy Marina, she whispered. Good night, Mommy Bella. And she closed her eyes, smiling, completely at peace. Because love doesn't replace, it multiplies, and Sophia had more than enough love. Mommy Bella, come play, Sophia yelled one spring morning, running through the sunny garden of the mansion, her laughter echoing off the walls that were once silent. Bella dropped her book and ran after her, her brown hair shining in the sun, while Matt watched from the porch, smiling. The silence that had destroyed that house had been replaced by laughter, conversation, and life. Love didn't replace the pain, it transformed it, and in that family, built on impossible coincidences and brave choices, love multiplied everything. Marina lived on in memory, Bella lived in the present, and Sophia lived fully, loved by 2 mothers, one in heaven, one on earth, and a father who never gave up. This was not a story of substitution, it was a story of addition, of healing, curved second chances, and of a whisper that changed everything.